Hi, guys. McDonald and McMullen. Chris Franklin's ready to join us. What's the T in the background there? But you got a new fancy wall as the backdrop. Where you coming from today?
I'm coming live from the Mullica Hill newsroom. That's the T from the old Gloucester County Times building. So that's where I got that. So, all right, might as well try to use this today. Try to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah,
why not?
Nice.
I thought I was going to have to say thank you, Father, for I have sinned with that.
I say I did not give enough salary cap room for the Eagles. I apologize. I did not do that.
I thought it was a big T for thank you. Thank you for getting Brett Toth back. Day one of Eagles free agency.
Thought it was an homage to TJ Edwards, who is no longer an Eagle, and Johnny and I are both questioning that.
Yeah.
Marcus Hayes isn't. He's ready to run him out of town. So why don't we start there? Less than $7 million a season, 3-year deal, good percentage guaranteed, but not an outrageous percentage guaranteed. Eagles make a mistake by I'm assuming they I think it's a foregone conclusion they didn't match. They could have gone slightly above if that was going to decide it. Eagles make a mistake in their evaluation of TJ Edwards yesterday.
Well, first of all, it's Brett Tough Day, so we all should appreciate that. It's not about TJ Edwards getting out. But when you look at the way that personally, I like TJ a lot. In the form of the way the scheme fit. But I think when you have a guy like Nakobe Dean that's sitting behind him, and the small sample size that you saw when he was playing at the middle linebacker spot, I think that was enough for them to say, hey, you know what? Let's elevate them. I always thought it was going to be either Edwards or Kaiser White was going to be coming back. And this first move, especially even for the amount that he signed for, which I was shocked that I thought it was going to be, I thought the linebacker market was going to get a little bit more, but I was shocked he signed for that. So now I think you're starting to see maybe you can get Kaiser White for a little bit less, and now you have a very potential athletic unit duo of having Nakobe Dean and Kaiser White in the back there, and potentially help out in that passing game too.
Yeah, day one as a whole, I think the Eagles were prepared for. I don't think they're concerned with losing any of those players. The plans were in place. Now, Javon is a very good player. I think we all understand that, but $21 million a year. I was very confident he was going to hit 20, and the Eagles weren't going near 20. So they understood. And you mentioned Nakobe Dean at linebacker. You have Reed Blankenship at safety. Milton Williams, I think, would be the guy sort of projected to insert when it comes to Javon Hargrave's role. And then, even up front on offense, Cam Jurgens, with the Jason Kelsey news, I think we all assume Isaac Seumalo is going to move on. So the Eagles had these sort of plans in place, at least penciled in. Now, as we get to day two, now it starts to become a concern. Do you think it's a positive or a negative that C.J. Gardner-Johnson wasn't snapped up on day one from the Eagles' perspective?
If I'm looking at the Eagles, I'm thinking like, okay, you still have a shot. Because I thought for sure, especially once Bates went, I thought like, okay, you know what? Maybe this is going to really start the run now on safeties. And going into now, I think they still have a chance. I mean, I would be surprised from CJ's perspective, I would be using the Eagles as leverage, especially with the Bengals losing Bates. I'd be using the Eagles as leverage going, hey, look, I still want to return you guys, and then run back to the Bengals to try to get the deal. So I think overall, when you look at the potential, I still think it's still a chance that he's still here. It's going to depend on how they structure that deal and final numbers is always when it comes to that. But looking overall at that, in a way, they kind of need him back because I thought Blankenship was going to be one of the safeties next year, no matter what. Just similar to the way when it came to TJ Edwards and Kaiser White, I thought it was going to be the same thing with the safety. Either you're going to have CJ back, but I thought was the bigger one, and then you just put Blankenship on whatever one they had. So they need him back. So if not, you're going to be drudging around in the second, third tier safeties, and already weaker up in the middle. It ain't looking too good with that.
All right, we've gone an hour and 27 minutes into the show, and we haven't mentioned Jalen Hurts once. And that is kind of the biggest piece of the entire puzzle is what the hell's going to happen at quarterback. And everybody's got their opinion, and everybody has to at least take a guess at the time frame and the way that it's going to play out. I'm one of those who's not as optimistic as others. I think that if I were Jalen Hurts, if his agent asked me, I'd say sit tight. You want to do what's best for your client, just sit tight. Um, I think that basically they have to wait until Lamar Jackson gets done. If you want to wait till after Burrow and after Herbert, you may be waiting all the way till after camp opens up. I don't know that either of those deals are going to get done. But Lamar Jackson's going to want to play somewhere, or does he? If you're waiting for one more deal to get done, if you're Jalen Hurts, do you want to go first? No, you would rather go after. It always, not always, 98% of the time, the numbers go up. So if I'm Jalen Hurts' agent, I'm waiting, I'm being patient. But can there be too much patience? Is there a chance that we leveled off? Jimmy G got his deal yesterday. Oh, by the way, I think value for the Raiders. I don't know if he's going to win anything for the Raiders, but he gives them a chance, and I didn't think they overpaid for him. But what's going to happen with Jalen Hurts? And do you agree with me, Chris Franklin, that some other domino has to fall before Jalen Hurts and the Eagles come to an agreement on a new deal?
I think the Lamar Jackson one is the one you want to have, and that's the one you want to wait. But I think that's going to go all the way into training camp. And I think if I'm Jalen Hurts, I'm wanting that to drag a little bit more into the training camp, because the last thing that the Eagles want to have going into this, with all the changes they have, is have all of us asking, hey, you know what's going on with the Jalen Hurts extension every day, saying where you at, where you're at, and and you don't want to confound and like take away from that becomes a distraction upon the other stuff you have. So if I'm Jalen Hurts, I'm waiting. I'm trying to see what happens there.
Mm-hmm.
And same with Burrow, same with Herbert. I mean, there's all that talk about collusion and everything when it comes to certain other when it comes to the bar. I mean, if I'm talking to some of the agents, maybe slip back and go, hey, you know what? Let's all wait a little bit and see this and put a little pressure on them, because I'm pretty sure the Eagles. Okay, you know what? Let's put this. Let's get this money. Let's get this done and over with when it comes to that.
We know the Eagles want to go first. You know it. I mean, that's what they do. They want to save as much money as possible, and that's the way to go. But they know the framework. They know where it's going to be. So it's not like it'll hamper them too much when it comes to planning. Howie Roseman, Jake Rosenberg are very good at the budget part of that. I asked Jody this. I'm going to ask it to you, Chris, because I get the feeling for the most. I mean, I don't get the feeling. I know the Eagles are very disciplined when it comes to spending and valuation and where they're going to put their money into what positions. We all know offensive, defensive line, obviously quarterback. Are they too disciplined at times? They don't value all ball linebacker. We'll go back to TJ. That wasn't a big deal. I thought he'd get more money than that. I think you're in the same boat. Do the Eagles, are they too extreme when it comes to discipline at some positions? When you find a good player, you find a good player, and it's probably a good idea to keep them.
I just think this is cemented in the organizational, even dating back to when they had Andy Reid here. They're going to always value the lines, and then everything else and the edges. Almost like that whole donut philosophy. You get the outside stuff, and then you worry about the inside secondary when it comes to that. But I think there's continuous still value lines. If anything, I think they may have tipped their hand what they're going to do in potentially the draft. I really think now that 10th pick really, really, to me, screams like, hey, you know what? They're going to go defensive line now, given that the depth they have and really go that. So I really think, if anything, they're going to still continue with that philosophy. Are there someone else? Would you like to have a guy with that? Sure. But I think given what the situation in there right now, you kind of want to make sure you have that. That's to me, in this defense right now, that's a luxury to have a really, really top A Pro Bowl type off the ball linebacker or something like that. Not calling TJ Edwards a Pro Bowler, which he was close to, but not like one of those major guys in that position you're paying that much for. So I think we'll still see that. And then looking at the way that defensive line, it just seems like the defensive line play and that they're starting to get better and better. Why not go for that well and try to build up and max up on what you have along that line?
All right. I asked this question of Marcus Hayes, so I'll put it to you as well. What happens if in the NFL draft, Jalen Carter is still sitting there after the Falcons selected number 9, and he's there at number 10 for the Eagles? there will be teams that have passed on guys. Some of them need quarterbacks. If you got to take quarterback, you got to take quarterback. Most people have him ranked as either the best talent in the draft or second to the Alabama edge rusher. I know you haven't done your research yet. How much do you believe you will have to do your research to find out if Carter is too risky a pick for the Eagles to take at 10? Because on talent, we know he's not. On character, it's a question mark. How much research you planning on doing between now and the draft? Do you go, stop, Jody, he's off the board. There's no way he gets down to 10.
There may be some freedom of information accent I may have down there in the state of Georgia right now, trying to figure out what's going on. To get some of that stuff.
Chris.
No, but it's there's, to me, we all know how much this organization values character, and I think, to me, if it's true, it really was like a perjury type situation where he said he was there, he was somewhere else. That, to me, that's a guy that's off the board, because now, say if you bring him into the city and he says he's somewhere else, and then a similar situation happens like this up here, now you're dealing with that all over again. You deal with suspension. You don't know if you have a guy for you a long time. I would have some serious questions. So I want to see how the investigation plays out. I want to see some of the stuff they have, and then from there, if it's what they're alleging, then for me, he's off the board.
Yeah, well, I would text Dom and say, look, but is he on the board or off the board? Because if he's at 10 and he's on the board, they're taking him. I got to ask that question on another radio show. They asked me, if Jalen Carter's there, or the kid from Oregon, Christian Gonzalez, Derek Witherspoon, and Jalen Carter, who you picking? It's not even a stinking conversation for the Eagles. If they if he's on the board, they're taking Jalen Carter. Jeffrey Lurie has proven he will give people second chances, but they'll do their due diligence. That's why Dom has the big title, assistant to the GM. It's his job to ferret out all this information. If he's on the board and he's a 10, 100%, they're taking him. They're taking him.
Unless Dom finds reasons not to take him.
No, I'm saying if he's on their board. If it's approved by Jeffrey Lurie.
When you said the board, I thought you meant on the board as can be.
If he's on their board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm saying
if he's cleared,
just from the football player standpoint.
Oh, if he's clear, if he's cleared and they found out there's more to it that wasn't there or stuff's wrong, then if he's sitting there at 10, I'm jumping and taking that. But if it's that stuff is proven what he's alleged to have done, he's getting he's out. He's out there.
And that's why I say, Dom's the guy. That's his job to figure out that information, and ultimately it's Jeffrey Lurie's decision. Anytime, whether it's Michael Vick or Deshaun Jackson, when he had the anti-Semitic problems, and many times over the years, he has proven he will give people second chances. And if Jeffrey Lurie approves it, I mean, then it comes down to Howie Roseman. What I'm saying is, if it's approved, I don't give a, Derek Witherspoon, Christian, they're taking Jalen Carter.
Yeah, and if that's the case, if he's on there, I'm taking Carter. I'm trading back my 31st, getting a couple extra picks, taking Ringo, and going from there as well too. Keely Ringo for Georgia, and then trying to figure out some of this other stuff. I think that would be the play if that's the case. That he's there,
but I think you're both underselling the fact that the Eagles petitioned the league to allow players to wear number 0. The Philadelphia Eagles felt the necessity to do this, and I think it's more than just a coincidence that Christian Gonzalez wore it at Oregon this year. They're kind of tipping their hand that he is their number 1 cornerback choice, and if Bradbury is elsewhere, and you're right, Carter's just too talented a player to pass on, but if he is done and gone, Gonzalez seems to be the most logical guy for them to pick. They don't usually pick corners this high either, but if Bradbury's done and Slay's a question mark, it's going to be a corner they're picking number 10, right, Chris?
Or it's a hell of a red herring to make 0 is throwing it out there. Like, 0. It's Gonzalez. Oh wait, never mind. Oh yeah,
you're telling me the Eagles are okey doke in the NFL. They're just doing this to mislead everybody.
There have been allegations they were the smartest people in the room. I remember hearing that back before I was even on the beat. There was allegations of that too. So hey, that's a heck of a way to put it out. Like we won 0.
Hey, they just lost Javon Hargrave. If they lose Fletcher Cox, we know Linball and Dominican Sue aren't going to be back. That's a lot of production. You got to replace a defensive tackle. It's okay to say, all right, we expect Jordan Davis to step up. We expect Milton Williams to step up, even Marlon Tuipulotu. But, defensive tackle might be the biggest need if they lose Fletcher Cox as well on this entire team right now, considering how they build.
Yeah, and that would be the spot. And then I think this draft is really deep also when it comes to corners back all the way down to late second round, early third round. So I think you can still pick up a guy who's serviceable enough that can compete for the starting job, especially as well too, and then go from there. So yeah, I feel comfortable enough with that quarter. I'd rather get a bigger impact interior guy that can push the pocket inside and allow Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat to have a better chance to do their thing. And then look at the corners because we know how much they play zone and everything, or expected to play zone now with the size. So I'd rather run with that risk.
All right, then again, another thing that we probably undersold today, but it's because most of us expected it. And I'm pretty sure I know John and I were of this position. I'm pretty sure you were too, Chris. Jason Kelsey's back. Most of us believed that was going to happen. It's never done till it's done, and it became done yesterday. And they also got a 1-year deal done. They didn't just allow Jason to go, hey, I want to play again, and then not get a deal done. So the deal's in place. They just haven't released details on it, which means they're probably, if Isaac Seumalo walks, and oh, by the way, watch out for the Bears jumping in there too. They still got a whole bunch of money to spend, and you may
already went Nate Davis.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going Isaac now because they made their decision at guard and they signed Nate Davis, which again, bad decision. I'd rather have Isaac Seumalo.
Same here because you got the position flexibility, and you also got a guy who can teach, who's shown that he can also help teach some of the other guys. I mean, you hear the way Jordan talks about Isaac and the way he helped him breaking down film and everything else, and you got a guard that pretty much has a center's brain that knows how to figure out the protections, where to go, and he's still playing at a high level athletically. So that's the one I was like, wow, he went before Isaac. All right, power to him. But
all right, so if we at least work under the assumption that Isaac isn't back, are we sure Cam Jurgens is ready to step in and be Isaac Light at right guard for the Eagles this year?
It's a question mark.
In Stoutland we trust, so it's a foregone conclusion the Eagles will be perfectly fine there, or to use a phrase my partner likes to use, their startup costs attached to throwing a guy in for the first time. How confident are we in Jurgen just stepping in for the right guard position?
I think you always have a chance, especially when you have Stoutland. I mean, when you have guys like Sua Peta that can fill in and do okay for spots here and there, I think we got a guy with the athleticism of Jurgens. I think he'll be all right. It's almost like watching Isaac early on all over again. Where in fact you got a guy who's thinks going to be the replacement for Kelsey, and then he slides over, but then he's athletic enough to play there.
How many heir apparents are we on for Kelsey now?
Yeah. So you got that 3. We're like 4. It's like the 5th, almost like 4th, 5th generation. Like, hey, we got a new guy. Yeah. I'm still staying. See you later. And then when Larry Dixon, no, I'm staying. We're going this way too.
By the way, to kind of piggyback off Jody's thought, I'm not sold on any of these guys. I think people are just saying, oh, we'll be fine with Jordan Davis. We'll be fine with Nakobe Dean. We'll be fine with Cam Jurgens. We'll be fine with Reed Blankenship. I think there's going to be some startup costs, as Jody said, with all these players, every single one of them. But they got some of it out of the way with Jordan, some of it out of the way, ironically, with Reed, because he was undrafted, but they had some injuries. Nakobe, I think, played 35 snaps, and Cam was 30-something as well. I can't just assume these guys are going to go and play like Isaac Seumalo and TJ Edwards. I think that's kind of pie in the sky. Maybe long term they're better, but short term, I think there's going to be some issues.
See, I think Dean fits in right now. I have more confidence Dean's going to fit in right there right away and be more impactful, I think, than Jordan Davis, at least right now. I think right there. I think that whole defense is going to take about a couple of games into the regular season before they start to feel comfortable with the new system, especially if they change the verbiage and the terminology and stuff and try and get used to what Desai wants. But I think right now, I think if anybody I feel the most confident for is Nakobe Dean. I think that way, I think he's just got that natural instinct of a middle linebacker that can excel. I think he's that way too. Blankenship, and then Jurgens. I think, and then after that, Davis. I think that's the one I know he hasn't had the chance to rush the passer as much. I know a lot's been made about that. I just want to see him be more consistent on that and stay on the field when it comes to it. But Nakobe Dean, I think that's the
That
one.
was my concern when they drafted Jordan Davis. It was my concern from day one. People are going, he's got to rush the passer. That's not what he stinking does. He ties up blockers, and it's too esoteric. I was concerned. Jody can back me up. I was concerned with that from day one. He's not rushing the passer. He's not. That's not what he does.
Yes, that's what I think you have to. If that was if I'm a fly on the wall in those exit interviews, that's what I'm telling him. Like, hey, if I'm Tracy Rocker and Nick, I'm just like, hey, listen, man, it gets work on that a little bit. Find fundamental, go to boxing, something like that, jiu-jitsu, whatever you have to do with your hands to be physical to try to get more in that pass rush. But they want,
and they got it a little bit with Linval. They just want, there's a reason the other guys got 70 sacks when you're taking up two blockers all the time. And if Hassan gets 18 sacks because Jordan Davis is tying people up, I'm fine with it. I'm fine. I'm fine with it. But I don't think everybody else is going to be fine with it.
No, when you move up in the first round to take a guy and you go, hey, he took up two blockers. They just can't wrap their head around. They need a stat to back it up to justify being picked in the middle of the first, moving up in the middle of the first round to take a guy. All right, C. Franklin, need you to give me the definitive answer here.
Right.
It's a hypothetical. Assuming Kaiser White goes elsewhere, who is the most plug-and-play linebacker the Philadelphia Eagles have, not named Nakobe Dean, which we really don't even know if he's plug and play, but somebody else has got to play linebacker for the Eagles. Is it Sean Bradley? Is it Christian Ellis? Is it Davion Taylor? Or is it D, none of the above?
I think it's Davion Taylor. That's the guy. I think, especially when you look at that Joker/Will position, that's the most athletic guy. You got to hope that he's healthy enough to stay the whole thing. I think Sean is, if they decide to go, like, say, and granted, they don't have 3-4-4-3s or that. If they wanted a second middle inside linebacker, I think Sean would be good in that spot if they use that type of thing. But when it comes to having that Will/Joker guy, I think Davion's the guy that they got. If they don't take anybody in the top 3 rounds as a linebacker, that's the guy I think they're going to try to bank it on. And feel like we've been in this conversation for 3-4 years now since he got drafted. Like, well, you hope he made the strides, and you hope you see the athleticism. He's still learning. Well, you've been in the league now for a little bit.
Yeah.
Now time to put up.
Yeah. DJ Ellis got a history with him. He coached him in Colorado, the new off-ball linebackers coach. So we'll see how that shakes out. What about the coaching staff? The defensive coaching staff specifically, Chris. Sean Desai, they go with Sean over Denard Wilson. So obviously Denard out the door to Baltimore. I mentioned DJ Elliott is the linebackers coach. They got Tracy Rocker back. Jeremiah Washburn is still here. They hired a slot guy also with a Temple background, a WCU guy. I forget his name. Do you remember his name?
Was it Ronell Wilson or something like that?
Yeah, Ronell. And we don't know who the secondary coach is yet. It could be DK McDonald. They haven't announced DK's role, but just the upheaval, because it was so much continuity. Very rarely, in this league, we see the exact same coaching staff. Essentially, we got that. A couple guys got promotions, but all the key components were back. The Eagles go on this run. Now you have all this upheaval. Just mentioned all the moving parts on defense. No Shane Steichen, new play caller. Shane was a really good play caller. It's another one everybody's just assuming oh, it's going to be the same. How concerned are you with all the moving parts on the coaching staff?
I'm not too concerned as of right now, especially when it comes to Brian Johnson calling plays. I think he's going to do a decent job when it comes to that to start out with. I think I don't have any concern on that. Offensively, the offensive side of the ball, I have no concerns whatsoever. Defensively, there's a lot of I personally, before going in, I thought Denard should have been the guy. I honestly did, because I thought, and I think it means a lot that when your players go to bat for you, not just position players, when your players go bat for you, and you bring this, you just had an attitude and count. It's like I thought he just would have been a good fit, and he's not. He's moved on, so we go on and show on the side, and so I can do the same thing. He can win the players over being this too. But I just look at this and I'm like, it's going to take a little bit, and the fact that it's almost the same system in a way. Maybe it's taught differently. Maybe that helps out. Maybe the man-to-man principles in the back. Maybe that helps out a little bit more. It's clearer, more concise. I don't know, but it's that's where I have a lot of questions on right now, and I'll give them a chance to see how they do on that.
All right, see, Franklin, I asked you my favorite question, which is a hypothetical, completely unfair. My second favorite question might well be the crystal ball question.
Well,
So get that Eagle crystal ball out and tell me who will have the most carries this year for the Philadelphia Eagles. When 2023 is wrapped up, the individual who's had the most rushing attempts will be who?
That's a good one. I'm going to go with somebody who's not on.
Yeah, I'm going to go to be determined. I'm going to go with you, the big TBD, because he ain't here yet.
Yeah, see, that's like the Magic 8 Ball. You can't just say, yeah, it didn't show up. No, it said something. You got to read it. You got to give me something, both of you two guys.
I haven't used it in a while. Smudged off. I can't see what it says.
You say. You can't do that with the 8 Ball. If you do it with the 8 Ball, you shake it again. You give it another shot.
I'm giving you.
So I'll restate the question to both of you. Who will have the most carries for the Philadelphia Eagles in 2023?
I just looked at my. It's a crack. I haven't used it in a couple of weeks. I'm sorry on that one.
I'm giving you a great answer, Jody. I'll even go more specific. It's going to be
slightly more specific would be preferred, John. Thank you.
It's going to be their fourth round pick, and they don't even have a fourth round pick as we sit here today. That's who it's going to be. It's going to be the fourth round pick.
Not specific enough, but I'll give you.
I'll go for board.
For effort on that one, J Mac.
I'll go Jalen Hurts, and it's going to be one of those split things where you have Hurts, you have Gainwell, and then you have Scott, and then whoever it is. I think it's going to be split a little bit that way too. I wouldn't be surprised if they do run a little.
Who's going to be in the fourth round? How about
who's the other Texas back? Not Bijan.
Roseman Johnson. Yeah,
that's one there.
Johnson. I'm going to go Roseman Johnson.
Oh, it's hurt my head right now because I'm going to. We're like 5 minutes after I'm going. That's what he's in. I want to say he's in the Conference USA. He's a Conference. And then there's also the Tulane back too.
Who are you looking at?
There's a Tulane running back that I really like. This one too.
Spears from Tulane.
Spears is good, and there's somebody else in the Conference USA too.
All week, Spears.
There's somebody in Conference USA. I want to say he's like Western Kentucky or Louisiana Lafayette. If I'm getting that far, I start to get like, oof.
I don't have them. I go 25 deep on this list of running back. I got an Alabama Birmingham guy, Dwayne McBride.
Yes,
maybe it's him. Maybe it's him. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that kid from Pitt? I'll butcher his name, but I heard good things about him.
Pitt just seems to turn out a lot of running backs as well. Like when it comes to Pitt, and I look at the certain traits you look for them when it comes to just going north south. They just whatever they're teaching there at Pitt, it's working. I wouldn't be adverse to it at all one bit. But the Bijan Robinson stuff, no. I liked it overall. But when it came to what the needs to this team right now, that would be a luxury as opposed to.
All right, I gave Jody what he wanted. I'm going Roseman Johnson.
Okay. I'll go Jalen Hurts. Why not?
What I'm rooting for, even though I know it's an uphill climb, that Zach Charbonnet is still available in the second round. If the Eagles move down a little bit from 30, get another second round pick, something along those lines, I think he is the second best back in the draft. They're not going to get it unless they take Bijan Robinson at 10, which we know they're not taking.
What about the Alabama kid?
I absolutely believe
Gibbs?
Charbonnet's better.
Yeah, he's small. J-Mark
No,
Gibbs.
Charbonnet can go
J-Mark.
between the tackles and break it outside. Better all around.
Yeah, I think the Eagles are a little bit tired of guys breaking it outside. So I think.
Well, you know what? I forgot this one. I'm sorry. I didn't think about that. You still got Trey Sermon in the mix too, I believe.
Yeah, I brought up Trey. Yeah, Trey,
I think he.
All right, I'll give both of you 3-1 that Trey Sermon does not lead the Eagles in tackles. Either one of you want to take 3-1?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah, he might be on the roster, but don't know that you're ready to go. He's leading the Eagles in carries next year.
At C. Franklin News, read them at NJ.com. Read them all over. South Jersey Times, Lehigh Valley Live, Times of Trenton. He does it all for everybody. He's got the big T up there for Brett Top, TJ Edwards. Any other T's we want to get in there? Gloucester County Times.
Topher Grace. Why not just throw that to the first name? Why not?
Throw him in there.
Jeez.
Jacoby Brissett. I'll end it there. Is he going to be the Eagles' backup quarterback? Jacoby Brissett.
I think we go through this every year. Like I think the Eagles will want him. I just don't think that. I think it's going to be somebody else that they bring out. Like maybe use a 6 or 7. He's the developmental guy, and then you have Ian Book being the backup next year. That's if I had to go that overall.
Yeah, and I think price tag will have a lot to do with it. Whoever comes in inexpensively will be the way they go. And to Howie's credit, he had Gardner Minshew do it for the last couple of years for on the cheap. They don't know that they get away with on the cheap.
Reeds and that, baby. I think he's in the XFL. The sermon from the book of Job. Trey Sermon, Ian Book, Josh Jobe. They're going to be big parts of it.
A lot of DNPs in that group. All right. Always a pleasure. Chris Franklin, thank you very much for jumping in. We'll get you back up in a couple of weeks. Talk to you, bud.
Thank you guys very much.
Thanks, Chris.
Chris Franklin with the big T over his shoulder here with us on Birds.
Tone DeShields chiming in. Jason
T for
Kelce.
Tone. That's what it is. Oh, we didn't even figure that out, McMullen.
Jason Kelsey's deal is worth $14.25 million. So he had 14, got a little bit of a bump. $14.25 million.
And for those, again, who think that the players owe the Eagles a hometown discount, Jason Kelce got a raise. 99.9% of the population, you have the year that Jason Kelce did, you deserve a raise. You should make more than you did the previous year. He was the best center in all of football last year. Why should he take less? Some Eagle fans think.
He's also got $500,000 in incentives, so he can get up to 14.75.
What incentive do you give?
Probably all 17 games, I would think. Probably games. Who knows?
He's going to play all 17 games. If he's half dead, he's going to be out there playing.
And he'll probably get 14.75. That's the point. Yeah.
Exactly right. All right, Johnny Mac, Jody Mac. We're coming back to put a bow on the show here on Birds 365.